Good evening, this is Kimberly Kammerer, and I am doing the video review for Morgan McLeod's lesson plan. It was the Standard American History 1, grade level 11, and I really liked the lesson. Let me preface the entire review by saying I really enjoyed this lesson, and I would love to use it if I ever have the opportunity to teach 11th grade history. This would be a great class. I'm going to start with connection among content. One of your strongest points was your connection among content. You had all the right your content was supposed to match the lesson. Everything had to match the focus of the lesson, which was how was the acquisition of Florida an outcome of the reshaping of United States foreign policy. You tied your lesson in beautifully when you started with let me find it down here. You started with letting the students talk about Andrew Jackson, look at political cartoons, how he hunted the Native Americans and the runaway slaves. You start with that, and then you go on further into the lesson when they do their independent work, and you let them make an argumentative essay on, hey, should he be punished for what he did when he deposed the Spanish governor in Florida? That comes all back to the lesson focal point, which was how was the acquisition of Florida an outcome of the reshaping of the U.S. Really great. All your content fit perfectly. Your instructional strategies were great for 11th grade. I loved it. And I liked that your technology, every single piece of technology you used was there for an exact purpose. There was nothing just thrown in like, hey, let me put it in because I need to put some technology in there. I really liked your lesson plan. It was really grown up, and that's what we have to do is look at who are we teaching. We're teaching 11th graders. Let's do something that someone in college wouldn't mind using because they're almost there, and I really liked it. The rationale for instructional strategies, you were great up until a point. You have great rationales. You let me understand, this is why I'm teaching this. Students and this is what we're doing. And we're going to present their analysis chart. And you explain everything. And then even when you get to the bottom, you say, that technology is the key to keeping students engaged. And you explain everything. Your rationale is beautiful. And then I start looking through, and I don't see it tied to a learning theory. And that's really the only part that made me say, yeah, I can't give her above proficient. And so I don't feel comfortable doing above proficient on the rationales, but if you correct that, put the learning theory in there and how it relates, you'll definitely get an above proficient. The appropriateness of technology for instructor use. I, at first, was actually going to say that it wasn't above proficient because I was looking at it and I saw, let me find it, where it said, I'll present new information through multimedia presentation. And I thought, well, that's just you using it. It's not you using it and incorporating the young people. But then I looked down and I saw that you said I used Google Docs and Smartboard because they're both very interactive technologies. And I realized, wait, she's creating Google Docs, she's using the Smartboard and allowing the young people to be interacting with her technology that she's already used previously. So, changed my mind. You are definitely above proficient on that. Your appropriateness of technology for instructor use. Oh, I'm sorry, I already said that. You're above proficient. Appropriateness of technology for student use. That was your stronger point. Not only was it appropriate, you used great plans. That I can't say that enough. Some teachers just don't know how to put it in there and make it interesting for the students, sorry. And I really, really liked how you incorporated it, especially, let me see if I can find, I'm trying to find the one part. Right here. Use my webspiration.com to plan and organize your ideas. I always have thought about writing a paper as you sit with your pen and your paper and you write, and it's just kind of boring and your arms hurt, and I liked how you use this other technology to make things more interesting, to do something that we may not want to do. The only problem that I had when it came to the student technology went down here in your rationale. In your rationale, you were supposed to say, this is what I used, and this is why I didn't use something else. When you were talking about the students use Socrative.com, you didn't explain why you didn't use something else instead of using why you used Socrative instead of something else. And so because that was part of the rationale, you had to say, this is why I didn't use, and I don't see that. And I didn't see it on any of the other areas in the green. There wasn't a reason of why I use this and this is why I didn't use this. And so I can't give you an above proficient on that one. But again, I'm looking real quick. Okay, you did though, and the reason I gave you above proficient on the instructor one is you did, when you explained your Prezi, you said it's not just words on a slide, so this is why you didn't use a slide form, you used the Prezi. And so I liked that you did explain it on that one, but you didn't do it on the student one. So again, your technology for instructor use, above proficient, your technology for student use, proficient, and it can be corrected by just adding in your reasoning why you didn't use something else. The alignment to state standards and content and computer skills. Your lesson plan is clearly aligned, no doubt, no question. You focused in on exactly which objectives you were talking about, and you hit them hard. You dealt with those objectives, not a little bit from this one and a little bit from that one. You dealt with those objectives, and it almost seemed like you based your lesson on the objective instead of making your lesson and then figuring out which objective it fit, which is what you're supposed to do, but you don't always find that. So I really liked that. It also, on the bottom, it says it also aligns to national standards in content or computer skills, the NETs. It absolutely did. So you're definitely above proficient. I don't want to say that your completeness is above proficient, so that will be proficient for me, only because it is missing the Bloom's taxonomy as well as the learning theory that I talked about earlier. So if you'll just add those two in, add the learning theory and the Bloom's taxonomy in, that would become above a proficient too. And I feel really bad. I feel like I'm nitpicking, but I want you to get a great grade on this because this is an awesome lesson. And just a few changes and this will be good. Language and mechanics. You are a great writer because I was reading this and I didn't have to stop and go back and say, wait, well, no, I read that wrong. And so I really appreciated that you put your commas where they needed to be. Obviously, you used it like a spell check because the spelling is great. So you did really good on that. Your lesson plan is error-free. I went through because I was concerned, is this a well-written lesson, but then there's parts that are left out that I would be sitting there going, what do I do? But there's not. It's very well explained. And so you demonstrate superior understanding of grammar and spelling, like I said, and punctuation. So I feel that you definitely, in language and mechanics, are above proficient. So really quickly, since I can't get this to type for some reason, I'm so upset because I really, 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 really want this to type. Let's see, maybe if I tab. I just having a hard time because it does not want to tab for me. Okay, I found it. So we're going to do a connection among content was definitely above proficient. No question. It was wonderful. Your rationales for instruction, you didn't tie it to the learning theory, but your actual rationales were great. So if you can just go back in and fix that. Your appropriateness of teacher use of technology, not only did you have your rationales, but you included why you didn't use other ones. So that is definitely going to be above proficient. Sorry, I was trying to get this earlier and it wouldn't do it while I was recording, so I apologize. The appropriateness of technology for student use, again, I'm giving you a proficient, but definitely go back in and just add, this is why I use this, and this is why I use it instead of this. And once you do that, it's great because everything else is wonderful. Your alignments to state standards are definitely above proficient. And like I said, I'm very proud of you for building your lesson around the objectives instead of the other way around. Your completeness, again, I'm going to give you a proficient, but when you go through and you add your higher order of thinking, your Bloom's taxonomy, and the learning theory, once you add those two, you will be complete. And then I'm going to go down one more. The language and mechanics, like I said, it was wonderful. So I couldn't say anything wrong about that. So, all right. I hope you learned from this, and I hope you're able to correct it and come out with an A+ paper.